Hey, well, welcome to the Great Old Ones channel. Here I talk a lot about role playing games. Also, talk about collectible card games. If you haven't seen it already, I did a little brief uh, short a little while back about Call of Cthulhu and that card game. That's a lot of fun. The Mythos is what it's called. It's great. Um, Today, we're going to go back into a little more of our discussion on Rolemaster. There's so much in there that we've got to dedicate this into slices. Otherwise, we'll just totally overwhelm everybody. But again, I'm bringing Gonzalo back again, and we're going to discuss more on essence magic this time, part of the spells law component of arms law. So without further ado, I will bring him on.
Hey, sir.
Gonzalo, good afternoon, morning, what afternoon to
Noon
the East
exactly.
Coast people.
Drinking time. It's officially socially acceptable to drink from this point onward until 2 in the morning.
I see. But it's been like noon in Europe for hours now. Yes.
Yes. Well, it's like 2 in the morning there now, I think.
Oh, okay. So now they're required to quit when they
Yeah,
can begin.
that's right.
Aha. Well, all I've got at the moment is just my coffee. I'll have to wait.
I'm just having water myself. I have to hydrate if I want to drink alcohol later in the day. So,
Ooh. Speaking of which, this is the Mardi Gras week and a half, 2 weeks in Galveston.
so wait,
Drinking.
they celebrate Mardi Gras in Galveston?
Yes, they celebrate Mardi Gras in Galveston. It's probably one of the bigger places outside of New Orleans that Mardi Gras is celebrated like this. There's going to be parades every day, all week. Yesterday was the umbrella parade downtown. Being Saturday now, they're going to start parading sometime mid afternoon and they'll quit sometime well after the bars have closed. They parade up and down 25th Street and the downtown section, the Strand. It's it's a big, long party, and they go all out here a lot.
Interesting. I uh, uh as I've told a couple of people, Dungeon Delver, I'm going to be going on a little driving trip this summer to the southeast. We're kind of looking
Right.
at places we might want to retire, and so we're going through Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina, and and then
Hmm.
I think we're gonna do one in Texas too, but it's gonna be pretty much a dedicated, like, Texas needs its own trip. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I can't.
its own trip itself.
Yeah,
You can't do a three-state trip through Texas. You can
no, you
only do
cannot.
a part-way strip through Texas
Even really,
because it's
Florida
so big.
should probably have its own trip, but we just can't swing it. We got to make the most out of a couple of
Yeah,
weeks
Florida
off.
is nice and long. The Texas, you can go all day. Any just leave any one direction and still be all day getting there. It's a pretty diverse state to go looking through as well. There's a lot of
Well, I will
different
be
environment.
asking you for many, many tips. The only thing we're for sure know we want is we don't care about living in a small place, but we just want somewhere where we have an amazing view every day. Like, we wake up in the morning and there's some kind of amazing view.
You might need to narrow down the requirements for amazing because you can be amazed at just about anything you look at these days. Yeah. Some things are just truly amazing as to how awfully bad they are.
Oh no, you're not selling me on Texas.
Oh, Texas is great. Texas got a lot of good views, a lot of really excellent views. One of the problems with Texas is a lot of those views are on privately owned land.
We'll see about that.
Right. Well, let's jump right in here into our discussions of the essence. It's great. Oh, we'll pop the
Rolemaster First Edition
yes,
Essence.
Rollmaster First Edition. Right, there were some adjustments and changes that came with the second edition. They tweaked some things and made some edits and stuff like this, and then kind of it's one of those things. Is it seems to be kind of it made some small improvements, but a lot of things just went like downhill after first edition was their peak.
I have friends that would disagree with that. I know some people who think standard system is better, and I can understand their point of view. I think that's what we'll figure out as we get into this. We'll do a little test plays of, like, some combats and stuff in first edition, and see if it's how we remember, or I have a lot of experience with standard system, so I can remember enough of it to make some good comparisons. I don't know what you played most of, but
Well, heck, second edition is pretty much where I left off of Rollmaster to try other games.
yeah. So yeah, of the essence. And just I thought maybe since we're doing another a realm, of magic, and we're doing spells, I just kind of thought it might be good to remind people who are maybe if they stumble on this. And Rollmaster was a early competitor to other uh, big selling role playing games in the late 70s, early 80s. And
Right.
it's a collection of the stuff that was printed and sold separately into a box, what's called a black box set. Something to keep in mind, just as far as this system is concerned, with spells, you buy picks off of spell lists. Spell lists range from first to 50th level spells, but a lot of times there's gaps. There's not always like one through a spell at every level. You have to gain levels on a list before you can get a spell sometimes. Also, this
And let me throw
system,
this back out there
oh,
again,
yeah, yeah,
just a reminder.
spell law. This is an old ad. You want to talk about this, or did we show
No,
this?
yeah, we've mentioned before briefly again that when they first came out, they were presenting the ideas as individual pieces that you could drop in and replace for existing systems in role playing games that you were running. It wasn't like a complete system when it first came out. So they're advertising the individual parts. Here's the ad for Spell Law to go replace the magic system in the role playing game system that you were playing. If I remember, this is from what is it, September of 1981. That's where this article came out. I mean, it's a little older than 1981, but that's where they started popping in the ads in Dragon magazine and stuff like this. Are you looking for a little more than what your current magic system provides? Here, spell law for that.
I
And we
like
discussed the same sort of thing when we were talking about arms law.
I like the art style in the ad here. Very sort of real photo. Not, I don't know if I'd call it photorealistic, but they use a lot of negative space, and it reminds me of a comic book artist called George Perez. He did a lot of the like Teen Titans in the early 80s. And I think he did
Hmm.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was um, I know this is comic books, it's not really our topic, but there was a couple of short series that came out in the 80s that were kind of like some of the biggest comic book limited series. One was Secret Wars, that was Marvel, the other was Crisis on Infinite Earths, that was DC. And Crisis just was infinitely better in both artwork and story.
Hmm.
And this artwork looks very similar, in my opinion, to George Perez, the artist who did that art. Okay, sorry for the deviation.
No, 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 no. Right. Well, it's one of the things we have been discussing with all of this is artwork in these early games and stuff. And Iron Crown Enterprise is definitely spared no expense by the looks of it at the quality of art that they like to put in. I love this. It focuses your idea on what's going on in there, and you can see, some a missile weapon and a melee weapon, but there's your spell user in the background kicking off a spell to defend himself, or however you want to look at it. And the way the art is presented, it focuses your attention on what's going on in the center instead of distracting you with all the stuff that's on the side. Not quite stipple art, but it kind of looks similar to that.
Yeah, I
It's
can see what you're saying. The dotted.
right. Still really, really good art. All right, let's jump right back over to Essence again. Then there we go.
Here once again, great art on the cover. I think. Oh, I was going to finish what I was saying. Anyways, for spell
Yeah.
casting in first edition Rolemaster, as in most editions, you don't. It's not like other systems per se. I don't know if there. I mean, there might be other systems to do this, but basically, you have power points. You use development points to buy skills and levels and skills as you go up, and you can. That's how you generate power points, and power points are used to cast spells. And a spell costs whatever the spell level is in power points when you cast it. So if you have 20 power points and you have a fifth level spell, you could cast that fifth level spell over and over until you're four times until you're out of power points. You
Right.
can use your power points for whatever spell you know. It doesn't matter that it doesn't leave your brain or anything. It's a little more elegant in my opinion than a lot of systems.
Yeah, this was people were looking for something other than the Vancian magic that was popular with different systems. That
This artwork,
yeah,
this is just an unusual. I mean, it's just some symbol, just somebody who's a uh,
yeah,
you know, I don't remember who did this art, but it's very stark, and it does have a very kind of mythic feel to it. It's not like the thing about it is it lets you fill in the intellectual gaps as to what this might be without it doesn't use any description or text to try to describe the image. It's just, here's an image, this is magic, what does this image mean, who knows, because you don't know yet because you haven't opened the book.
Sure. It's just a attention grabber, a placeholder
Yeah,
there that, hey,
and
pull
the
your
edging
attention.
is real cool. The lettering is all hand drawn text. The edging is also a very cool, like it looks very esoteric, and it was a smart choice to be super detailed, but only essentially do very crisp black and white stuff, because that probably kept their cost down quite a bit from having to do color art or anything.
Well, yeah, I could say, yeah, the time period when they were publishing these things, the color books were incredibly expensive.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Shall we get into it?
Yes, let's jump right in. Not necessarily think we need to read this entire thing out, but we can go ahead and summarize some of what's written on here. Yeah.
Okay, so I like this. This first sentence explains it all, really, to me. The essence is that which is common to all things, living and dead, organic and inorganic. It has been characterized by many names: Tao, magic, unified field, and represents a force and order which defines the way of the world. Like, I think that's a perfect description. If you were, this is wizard magic, for lack of, for if you're trying to extrapolate to some other system, or fantasy writing, this is the kind of magic a wizard
Exactly
would.
right. Yeah, that definitely this is wizard magic, and there was a very popular movie in the '70s with that kind of utilized this sort of thought process in their in their
Which
mythos.
can we name the movie, or?
Oh, I probably can't. I don't think it'd be a copyright infringement to say Star Wars. With
Oh shit, yes, no.
the
Oops,
use of the
I
Force,
said a
right?
curse, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They were using what the natural force that connects all beings together to manipulate things, and that's exactly what this is describing right here. You're using the natural force that binds everything, that is it's in everything, it is everything, and you're manipulating all of that. That's exactly what
I
you're
wouldn't
doing
know,
with
I'm a
the
Trek
essence
guy
magic.
personally, so.
Hmm.
You fall on one of those two camps. Some people like them both, but I mean, I got nothing against Star Wars, but I definitely prefer Trek, like old Trek. But
Um,
yeah,
Star Wars, you could think of it as science fantasy. Star Trek was definitely science fiction. Yeah,
yeah, it was until Deep Space Nine, and they had the wormhole aliens and or prophets could be interpreted as getting a little more. Both of them, honestly, both sets of canon could benefit with a little influence from the other, in my opinion.
sure.
Um, So, wizard magic, that's essentially it. And I'm going to open this up. I know no one can read this at all, probably. But I'll kind of go
Especially
ahead.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got it pulled up. I've got the actual PowerPoint pulled up. And so you can see
Oh
that
yeah.
it has lists up to 50. There are some blank spots where there is not a spell for that level. You still have to attain that level in the list in order to get to the next one.
Right.
And one other thing that we've covered in the channeling video is that um, you have open lists, closed lists, and base lists. Open lists are spell lists that you can learn no matter who you are. A fighter could learn spells off the open essence list.
Right.
Closed lists are for pure essence spellcasters only. Certain like magician. A magician is a class that is a pure essence user. So the magician can uh, get picks off of the open or the closed lists, and um, base lists are spell lists which are for a specific class, and you have to be of that class. I think later editions did some exceptions where you could learn stuff, but for first edition, if you're not a magician, you can't learn the magician spells.
Right. And in this later on, we'll get to it as we show the list of things. The monks are in here as well with their mystical arts, right? So it doesn't matter what you are, you can't learn something off the monk list because it's a closed list of monks only.
Correct. And we've got so we've got some lists here. We've got physical enhancement, lesser illusions, detecting ways, elemental shields, and delving ways. These are 5 of the 10 open lists. Any of these grab your attention?
Well, you mentioned a fighter may want to learn a spell off the one of the open essence lists. Well, physical enhancement sounds like something a fighter might be interested in
Yeah.
learning, right?
Um, just some of
What
the
do we got? Night vision, for example, right? If
yes.
they're
Um,
going on a night raid, I can cast night vision on myself, right?
it's a fourth level spell, 10 minutes per level. So minimum, you're probably going to get 40 minutes of it because you're going to have to, you don't have to be, but it's most usually at least a fourth level person casting it.
Mm-hmm.
The range is 10 feet. Target can see 100 feet on a normal night as if it were daylight. So this is where some of the ambiguity, like there's still some, as good a system as Rolemaster is, the language does leave some flexibility there for the players and the GM to argue about, like any good role playing system. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what is a normal night?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that
cloudy.
would depend on what part of the world you're from, what you can see at night, what's normal, what happens, levels of darkness if you're in the city or if you're away from lights altogether out in the middle of nowhere. What's your definition of normal exactly?
Yeah,
So
I would say, a normal night is probably partly cloudy with some moon, right? That's probably a normal night.
sure,
Um,
or how much moonlight is out there? If it's only starlight, where do you want to draw the line at? How far off into the weeds do you want to get with your definition of what a normal night is? Yeah,
uh, yeah. There's some other sounding. Target's voice has its loudness tripled. So I'm not sure. I mean, that could be helpful to a fighter trying to give commands on the battlefield.
sure.
Um, it could also have an effect on if there was, you say you were tracking a thief and he kept getting away from you. If you could land this on him and he tried to speak, there's a lot of ways to try to use this stuff. Um,
Oh yeah,
dark vision, which is as night vision, except any darkness can be seen through. Water lungs, you can breathe underwater. Sly ears doubles your normal hearing range. Balance adds plus 50 to any roll for one slow maneuver, i.e., walking a 3 foot long beam. So yeah, I think you're right. This would probably be a real good spell list for a fighter who decided he had enough spare uh, development points laying around to take up spells. Now he will pay dearly for these spells. Any fighter will
oh right,
cost him
right.
dearly in development points.
Well,
Um,
like for example, elemental shields. Great.
oh yeah,
We're going up against a dragon that's going to breathe fire on us. It'd be nice to have the resist heat spell handy as no matter what class you are at
and this
that
is
point, right?
interesting. Like for example, the I mean, ventriloquism. Caster can speak, and his voice will appear to come from any point that he wants within 100 feet. Point must be in his field of vision. So that's an interesting limitation there because that means you can't be completely hidden from the spot that you're trying to send your voice to, which is a huge distinction. Because if you could, that would be a much more powerful spell.
Right.
The other thing that's interesting, like sound and light mirage. In the text here, it says as either light mirage on the light molding list or sound mirage on the sound molding list. And most of the spells in here say as this or that. And one of the reasons for that um, is it for at least on this list, these are all lesser versions or open versions of illusionist based list spells. So the illusionist
Sure.
versions of these spells are going to be way more powerful, but anyone can learn these spells.
Right. And rather than put duplicates all over the place in the text, they said, see this particular spell under the closed list for that particular class.
Yeah,
Right.
which is, I don't know. I kind of don't like that. I'd
No,
rather have the
they're
text.
looking for this spell. Why isn't it written right down
Right,
there
right,
where this
right. Just
spell is
put it here.
written? But
But
I can understand what they're trying to do from an economic standpoint, presenting a book.
it fits in with their entire ethos. Both their system and their publishing strategy is a very like elegant, lightweight, deliver as much as you can in as little as possible thing.
Right.
Delving ways is also interesting to me. Text analysis. Caster can read text written in an unknown language, but
Well,
only understand basic concepts. I mean, that's a second
Yep.
level spell. Stone analysis gives the nature and origin of natural stone, how it worked. I'm not sure why it says natural. I mean, gives nature and origin of natural stone and when and how work stone was obtained. Okay, so it does two different things. It will you can actually look at worked stone and it'll give you some analysis of it. Metal analysis, gas analysis, text analysis gives complete technical analysis, but not an understanding of idioms. Liquid analysis, delving gives significant
You've
details
got
about an item's
the
construction and purpose.
slide set one page ahead, over and above what we're reading.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
No, I'm reading Delving Ways. It's.
On the screen, I see closed essence
Oh,
spells list.
wait. Why do we see closed? This should be open.
Yeah.
Why are we in slide 4? This is where we should be. I must have moved us
Yeah,
to.
must have bumped it when you were
Yeah,
moving through looking at things, but yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Sorry
I
about
mean,
that.
not that that's a problem. We're not actually showing the
Okay,
spells
forget
you're
it.
reading
Let's
off, but
start
we are
over.
at least
Start the
listing
stream
them.
over. Forget it.
Yeah. Oh wait, we got to begin again. Oh damn. Right.
This, if you have come here for high production values, that's not what we're trying to do
Oh,
here.
you're in the wrong place. Absolutely. We wing it here and
But
make a decision and go with it.
I'm the type of person that, like, when I play a wizard or something like that, I like to play utility wizard, not necessarily somebody dropping firebolts and stuff. And I would say Delving Ways, as far as these first lists, even this is an open list. As an
Mhm.
open list, I would get Delving Ways before any of these other lists. Just it's so helpful. And the GM, this is also a great spell list for GMs because this allows you to give the GM a reason to give him reasons to move the story along through a spell list, and you add to the role playing. GMs love this kind of stuff, in my opinion. I do as a GM.
Oh, I hate getting locked out on this. My players do it to me all the time. Well, what about? Oh man, now I got to go look that up, or I better be thinking on my toes because they're coming up with all kinds of
Oh,
stuff.
you
Yeah,
hate
and
so
actually, this is great. Somebody that's actually going to go over their lists and look over and find useful spells that most people wouldn't normally pick
yeah.
is excellent role playing. Excellent role playing.
Um. Okay. Anyway, so we've got the second part of the open lists here are.
Right.
Wait a minute. Am
Well,
I
you
on
were
the?
talking there with some delving waves there.
Yeah. No, I was doing Delving Ways. So we've
For
essentially
utility spells, though, kick off a couple more in there. Like detect traps, not bad if you don't have somebody in there that can look for them. Having a wizard that just cast a
wait.
detect
Which
trap
list is
spell.
this?
What's that?
Which
Detecting ways.
Detecting Ways? Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Useful utility spells.
Yes, you're correct. That's also, I would put that on the same level as Delving Ways, but from a more um, adventure action standpoint and a less role play standpoint.
Essences, perceptions. Then
Uh,
telepathy, watch, right? Listen.
is this still under Detecting Ways?
No, that would be essences, perceptions.
I don't see that. Did we move on to the next?
No, you've got the slide open anyway on that page. It's on page 3. There, essences, perceptions up at the. It's a second list.
Oh, you went back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, sorry.
Oh, right. The
Yeah, if
progressive
you
spell.
go
We were kicking
backward,
around the idea of utility spells that
yeah.
a good role player playing a wizard would pick up on some of the not popular spells. And there's ones right there. Essences, perceptions.
Yeah, I would. I think I would put Essence Perceptions with Detecting Ways in that it's a more action-oriented list than, like, Delving Ways is more how can I get the, how can I figure out the plot that's going on. Detecting and Detecting Ways and Essence Perceptions are more action-oriented, and I can see you really have to be on your toes as a GM with stuff like telepathy and long ear and what, like, these things, like, you have to find a reason to not let players just telepathy with their way through a storyline.
Right. I'm looking at delving ways again too. Gas analysis. I'm sitting there thinking I've got my ray systems gas meter in my hand as I'm flunking through a dungeon. Oh man, look, we're now down to 17% O2. Something is happening with it.
um
Or you say, hey, the corridor is filled with gas, and now the wizard is going to the player is going to put the game master on the spot. I'm going to cast gas analysis. Well, what kind of gases are they?
De- uh,
Oh,
death
great. Yeah,
Death's Delving is the 18th level spell off Delving Ways.
good.
It's as death analysis, except gives a visual image of the killer and a vague reason for the death. So if someone
Ooh,
can cast a spell like that, you're going to have to come up with some kind of MacGuffin that prevents their spell from working if you run any kind of like murder mystery type of thing.
oh, sure, because yeah. Well, I mean, that's what. But other games have done the same sort of thing. You have to be creative with it to try and conceal things if you're trying to get them to solve problems without going directly to the body and say, "Hey, what happened?" Well, there you go, bingo. Your 3 hour game is now 20 minutes long.
Yep. Um, all
Cool
right.
stuff.
I'll move on to the next slide here.
Sure.
This is okay. Now we're talking about closed essence spell lists. Once again, this means that these are spell lists that only classes that are pure essence users. Like you couldn't be. I'm trying to think of what a dual like a you couldn't be a essence and weapons class. You couldn't be someone who can cast another realm in essence. You have to be a class that like a magician that only uses essence magic. You're a pure essence user.
Yeah, because there were some combined realm casters
Like
when
rangers
we
or
were talking
channeling
about
and
character law. Yeah.
arms.
Yeah.
So what we've got here is we've got invisible ways, which these are all just to varying degrees 1 through 50 ever increasingly powerful invisibility spells, pretty common thing in fantasy games.
Mhm.
Living change, I like living change quite a bit. This would be another utility one in my opinion that I would pick if I were picking lots of these lists. Shrink self, caster may shrink to one half his normal mass height in normal situations. There is no decrease in his strength. That is pretty powerful for a first level spell.
Sure.
Enlarge self as shrink self, except caster may increase by one half, and there's no increase in strength except for movement purposes. Change lore allows caster to analyze the form of another being for future use with the true change. Change to kind. There we go. Caster can alter target's form to the form of any desired humanoid race. So you could make yourself or someone else appear to be an elf or a dwarf or a human or whatever, or an orc even.
Hmm.
That's you get you combine these kind of spell lists with someone who's a good role player, and they can make things very difficult for a role master. I'm for a
For game
game
master,
master,
yeah,
yeah.
right. Sure, because you got to be on your toes when you're coming up with challenges to players that are smart enough to use the
Um,
less popular spells.
right. This is why it's very handy for um, GMs to make sure they know what their players' capabilities are. So we got.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I have to exactly agree with you there. You better read up on your character sheets, and then what things that they can do, so that you can have replies to their requests based on their abilities and stuff that are on their sheets. Be
Uh,
prepared. Yeah.
Spirit Mastery, also another very cool utility spell list, in my opinion. Sleep 5 is the first level spell, causes targets to fall into a normal sleep. The total number of levels that can be affected is 5. Um, that's handy. Charm Kind, second level spell. Humanoid target believes caster is a good friend. Sleep 7. Some of these are I just like the fact that the first level spell on Spirit Mastery is Sleep 5 because they didn't go with it. Typically, it's like you start with 1 in a list and the numbers increase, but here 5 represents the number of levels that can be affected, not the order of magnitude of the spell.
Sure.
Um, Confusion, a suggestion, target will follow a single suggested act. Sleep, hold kind, master of kind. Target must obey caster as in suggestion. Um, True Charm. As Charm kind, except any sentient creature may be affected. Word of Stunning, Word of Pain. As Word of Stunning, except target takes 50% of remaining concussion hits upon failure. So somebody casts Word of Pain on you, and you lose half your hit points. So
Hmm.
that's a very interesting kind of spell. I mean, not that you'd be dropping Word of Pain at low level, you couldn't, but if something's made of hit points, this is the kind of spell you want to use on them. In my opinion, much better than Fireball and stuff. At least in the beginning, you want to start dropping Word of Pain on things that are made of hits early on, because you get the most out of the spell.
Right. Well, Word of Pain, though, that's on an individual. Yeah. Why waste an area of effect spell on a single creature? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Um, it's just very. I really like this list. Word of Discord as word of stunning, except target will not cooperate or agree with anyone for 1 day. Uh,
Oh,
word of death.
is there a drawback to that spell?
Word of death. This is the 19th spell. Target suffers the result of an E critical strike on the table of the caster's choice. And I just realized something else I left off. I didn't include any crit stuff for Essence. That is a crime against Rolemaster that I
Oh, that
did
we do
not.
not have crit
Yeah.
lists in
So
this.
you might have
Oh,
to
sucks.
run out and hunt down an Essence critical chart for us to do some commentary on out there. Um, let's see. So that's interesting. Spell reigns. Once again, more utility stuff. Caster may cast a spell with any spell he wants to store. Then the stored spell may be cast at any time with no preparation. That is a more powerful spell than you might think, because some spells, instant spells, can be cast in like 10% of your action right at the beginning, whenever you want to cast them. Other spells may take a couple of rounds to cast. You store a spell that takes a couple of rounds to cast, and you vastly increase the utility of that spell. Um, let's see. I'm looking at spell range. Reverse spell reverses any one elemental attack spell back on the caster. If the attack fails, a resistance roll modified by +20. If the attack spell is reversed, it attacks its caster at 0 modifications. So it reflects it, but it doesn't have a huge chance to do a lot. Um, so here you go. The 50th level spell on spell reigns is Spell True. Um, S reverse spells, except all spells within 100 feet of the caster are reversed. So you have a big mage battle going on, or like a bunch of mages try to gang up on you, and let's face it, if you're 50th level, you probably have enemies, and a mage ambush is something that I could see happening. And that would be a damn impressive thing. Like a bunch, any caster within 100 feet, you drop that, and all these lower level casters who have no chance of saving against this spell are going to have all their spells reflected back on them, potentially defeating however many number of wizards happen to be within 100 feet of you at one time. I think that's just amazing. It's fun to fantasize about these 50th level spells, but as I've said, I've never gotten a character high enough to cast 50th level spells. Typically, that's the realm of antagonists in my stories.
Well, yeah, you got to get that high enough in level.
Lofty Bridge, also another good utility. Every single really one of these are really good utility lists. Leaping allows target to leap 50 feet laterally or 20 feet vertically in the round that the spell is cast. Landing, um, duration until lands range, allows the target to land safely in a fall up to 20 feet per level of the caster. So you're going to be you're going to be second level at least, probably casting this spell. On a fifth level, you fall 50 feet. This spell costs 2 power points. You could easily you're on a ledge that's 50 feet up. You could easily have enough power points to drop this on every party member, and you could all just jump down from 50 feet. You don't even need to have leaping for that. You're just kind of falling. You're just landing from dropping off a ledge. Uh,
Right. Which,
leaving. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, that would certainly come in handy. You know,
Yeah.
you know,
You
breaking fall things like this. Other game systems incorporated something similar to that, but like
um,
Rolemaster put in again levels of power for those spells. Yeah.
yeah. Leaving, caster teleports target to a point up to 100 feet away, but there can be no intervening barriers in a direct line between the target and the point. For purposes, a barrier is anything he could not physically go through. A closed door is a barrier. A pit is not. Levitation, fly. As levitation, except target can fly at a rate of 75 feet around. Now, something that I don't know if was fully incorporated. I don't know if flying skill was a skill in first edition, I don't think it was until, if it was, it didn't occur until the campaign law came out, which is something we'll get to after these realms of spells. But that's something you can easily incorporate, and it makes sense to me. Like, just because you can cast the spell and fly doesn't mean you have skill in it. And given that Rolemaster is a skill-based thing, I like the idea of having to have people develop fly skill with this spell. Now, you could just putter along with it, and it'll, essentially use it like levitation or something. It'll be helpful. But if you actually know how to fly, then it becomes a truly special spell.
Right. What makes me think of that is not not directly related to spells, but you think of the old TV series Greatest American Hero
Yeah.
with William Cadden. And he was learning how to try and figure out how to fly with the suit. He could fly, but he didn't know how to do it. He didn't know how to maneuver, things like this. He couldn't figure it out. So just because he was able to didn't mean he had the skill to be able to do it.
Correct. I mean, anyways,
Another dimension. Yeah.
that's a great spell. Long door is as above. Let's see. Long door is as leaving, except caster can pass through barriers by specifying exact distances. So long door, and then we got like teleport as teleport 3. Teleport. Here's teleport 1. As long door, except movement range is 10 miles per level. This is very risky. The following chances for failing exist: never seen a place equals 50%, been briefly 25%, studied 10%, studied carefully 1%, lived in 1 year 0.01%. In case of failure, first determine direction of error randomly, then determine amount of error, make an open-ended roll for a number of feet, and let the hilarity ensue. Um, interesting, very handy spell list that I think, once again, a lot of people overlook, especially given Rollmaster's crit system for elemental spells and stuff. A lot of people want to do the elemental spells, but when there's a really tight situation, who do they come running to? The old utility wizard.
Yeah.
Now, having talked, go ahead.
I'm just making a quick little chuckle about the utility wizard. Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, love to play them because you both help and hurt the GM at the same time. It makes the GM react a lot more, but if you're doing it right, you do it in ways that help him advance the story. So more closed spell lists. Should I not have gone through? I moved again. That was one. That was the first 5. Now we've got the second 5 here. We've got spell enhancement. Now, so this is basically a spell list which enhances the nature of other spells. So, extension 2 causes the caster's next spell cast within 3 rounds to have 2 times normal duration, ranging as extension 2, except range is increased 50 feet. So these are, all spells, uh, designed to enhance how other spells act. Now, this is a boring spell list on its face. But if you, for example, you had one of the other spell lists spell storing, and you stored one of these spells in a ring or something like that, and you had this ready to go for the beginning of a combat, this could be very helpful. Also, this raises some interesting role play possibilities for having groups. Like, just imagine large scale combats that have lots of spellcasters in them, and you have whole groups of spellcasters whose only job is to enhance the spells of other spellcasters dropping spells in the combat.
absolutely. Yeah. Use your resources wisely and being able to do this. You're ranging your extension. Like, be able to use this in those fights could mean the difference between success and failure against an equally powerful enemy.
I can see why this one doesn't get taken that much, though, because it's really, you're playing the long game, taking this list, and early on you're like, do I want to spend development points on something that's not going to be super helpful for a while?
Right. Well, with the newer editions of the world's most popular role playing game, they've incorporated the sorcerer class, which is a lot of what they do is this, but they spend sorcery points doing so. It's not a spell on a list. Yeah.
I'm sure I don't know what system you're talking about. Dispelling ways. So we've got cancel essence, cancel mentalism, and cancel channeling, the three realms of Rolemaster magic. And essentially, when a spell of that realm is thrown on the caster, the attack spell must first make a resistance roll successfully before the caster can make one. The attack level of the resistance roll is the level of the caster of the dispel spell, and the defender level is the level of the caster of the spell. If the first resistance roll is successful, then the spell procedure proceeds normally. That's, the various cancels. Dispel essence, dispel channeling, so that's for dispelling existing spells. Unessence, the 17th level spell. Target has no essence power points and thus can throw no essence spells for 1 day. Includes spells thrown using spell bonus items. This can also be thrown against items which could normally cast spells. That is a powerful spell right there.
Sure, sure.
And there's also, go ahead.
Denying resources to your opponents. Yeah.
There's also unmentalism and unchanneling, which do the same thing. Um, there's some potential fun with realms there. As a GM, I might say, you know what? I mean, okay, you're doing unmentalism, but you're doing it against channeling, um, or so let's say you're doing it against mentalism. You might say, all right, it's kind of different, so I'm going to make it a little like you're trying to stop it with essence, since it's not the same realm. I'm going to add a little penalty in there. You know what I'm
Well, I
saying?
don't know, but you notice how it is. There's a penalty kind of built in because it's a higher level spell that you have to cast.
True, true.
Yeah.
But with unchanneling, also you would have to say, all right, so you have it says the target has no essence power points. So let's say you drop that on a cleric, right? So technically you're stopping them from casting spells, but you're also interrupting their connection to their deity,
Right.
which has some very kind of cool role play implications. You might have to think, if I'm the GM and you're going to toss around a spell like that, you might have to think very carefully if you want to do that or not.
Yeah. Are you not only are interfering with this particular spellcaster, you're interfering with the wishes of their supreme being who sent them the power.
Exactly, exactly. Um,
Yeah.
so that was dispelling whales. Shield mastery, I think, makes some basic sense. It's just protection spells. Shield creates an invisible force
Oh
shield
yeah.
in front of the caster, subtracts 25 from melee and missile attacks. 25 in Rolemaster is like +5. In other systems. Blur causes target to appear blurred to attacker, subtracting 10 from all attacks. Deflections. Caster can deflect any one missile that passes within 100 feet of a very handy spell.
Hmm.
It's not. It doesn't have to be fired at you. Just any missile passing through your area, you can deflect it.
Sure. So
Blade
you can use it to defend your um, party members as well. Right.
deflections. Sorry, my allergies are acting up.
Hmm.
Deflections, very cool against, basically makes it more difficult for subtracts from melee attacks. um, Blade turn, 3 melee attacks may be affected, so you get to be a powerful enough magic user, and like 3
Hmm.
warriors roll up on you, and you can drop spells like that. You can just be like, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, you're
No. Yep. Yep.
um re
Definitely. All wizards must have powerful defenses.
mhm. Re-aiming is the 50th level spell on that. All missiles passing within 100 feet of the caster are reversed into their source with a +5 modification.
Of course, that is a 50th level spell.
But this is an example of
Yeah.
how, in this system, a super powerful spellcaster could literally take on a whole army
Yeah.
by themselves.
Sure.
There's very few other systems, I think, that can accommodate scenarios like that.
Or can, yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah. There's a lot of other systems that have some pretty powerful upper level spells, but there's a lot of limitations to them. With that particular one right there, very little limitation.
Yeah, I mean, you stand out in front of it, you trick a whole a company of longbowmen, and just walk out in front of them and dare them to cast, dare them to fire their longbows at you, and you just boing, take out half of them with one spell.
Right. Well, that's assuming they don't have a spellcaster on the other side of
Yes,
their
yes, I
line.
get
Yeah.
it. um,
Yeah,
so
those are
rapid.
definitely some excellent spells.
Yeah. Rapid ways, the next list. Run one. Target may run 2 times walking pace without tiring, but once he stops or performs some other action, the spell is canceled. Speed one. Target may act twice as fast as his normal rate, but immediately afterwards must spend a number of rounds equal to the round speeded at half rate. Suggested rules for handling this are in section 7.4 of the rules. I don't think we need to get into that stuff in this,
No,
but
no, we're just running through basically what Essence can do. We don't have to dig into the rules on them specifically.
haste one as speed one, except no half rate rounds are required, and you don't age when you get hasted in Rolemaster. That's
No,
nice. That makes it a far more useful spell.
it's
Um,
it's a little bit different too. Yeah, yeah.
let's see, what do we got here? What run five? Okay, sprint, haste, mass run, except as many targets as the caster's level may mass haste as haste three, except total rounds is the caster's level, which is if you're casting a 50th level spell, 50 rounds of haste. You know,
Ooh,
you know, in like so. What is it? Mass haste as haste three. Where's haste? Let me look that as speed three. Speed three as speed one, except duration is 3 rounds for one target, or 2 rounds for one target and 1 round for one other target. Okay, so that's what mass haste would be. You've got 50 total rounds to distribute as you wish between any up to 50 targets, including yourself. So you have a unit of like, 15 men. You could give all of them 3 rounds of haste with that spell.
yep. Turn them into Warner Brothers Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then lastly, in this section, Gate Mastery, a very interesting spell list. The familiar. I mean, everybody knows what a familiar
Familiar,
is.
that's right.
Summons one, can summon a first level non-intelligent creature. Summons two second level creature or two first level creatures. Lesser demonic gate. Let's see. As lesser demonic gate on dark summons list. So that'll probably be, we covered dark summons later, but essentially this is for gating in things, or like summoning creatures is essentially what this is.
Well, you can't have a fantasy role playing game without an enemy sorcerer bringing in demons, right? So here we go.
As so waiting summons, I like this concept. As summons X, which is 10 levels of summoning,
Mm.
except it can be cast at a particular point, and the arrival of the summoned creature can be delayed up to 1 day per level of the caster, or until a movement sets it off. This
Ooh,
creature can be left a simple task to perform. Simple task, I would say, would be kill anyone near you, right?
right.
So let's imagine, if you will, you're running me in a campaign where I can cast this spell. So you have my mage is going into a city that's like just the complete enemy of my home country, and I want this
Mhm.
city destroyed. I come stay for um, it's 15th level, so 15 days. You can leave stuff off for 15 days, but you could cast this spell probably, 3 or 4 times in a day, with the right PowerPoint mixture. So you just go around the city casting
Right.
waiting summons for 10th level demons all over the city, and then you leave the day before they start popping off. And so for 15 days, you're getting 4 10th level demons popping up around a city, and then you time your assault or your attack on the city from outside the city to coincide with when that starts happening.
Well, that's assuming that you're doing it to me, that I'm not doing it to you as the
Well,
game master. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, um, so
Perfect. Excellent traps, right? But then, I mean, they're not permanent traps or anything like this, but you
no,
could set things up for defenses and stuff like this.
but people, yeah,
Yeah.
people, like, if you don't have a magician who knows that spell and is aware of that kind of magic, they just think, oh, demons are just coming of their own volition into our city. So I think that's the end of that section. I think next up now we're getting into base
The
lists
base
here.
spell list, right? Here's where you mentioned where the individual classes themselves have spells specific to them.
And
Yeah.
magician is the core Rolemaster spell class, or essence class. We've got fire law, which boil liquid, warm solid, wood fires. Wall of fire is the first truly useful spell, I would say. at 4th level creates an opaque wall of fire up to 10 feet by 10 feet by 6 feet. Anyone passing through it takes an A heat critical, no resistance roll. Um,
Hmm.
Heat solid, firebolt. Now, 6th level firebolt, a bolt of fire is shot from the palm of the caster. Results are determined on the firebolt table, which I didn't put that in here, but just we've covered it in the channeling. So basically, if this is called a directed spell, and you have to buy skills in directed spells. And if you can't cast a spell, you can't develop skills in directed spells. So for me personally, if I'm running this and you get Firebolt at 6th level, 6th level is the first time you can buy any directed spells for Firebolt, because you couldn't have even cast it before now. So how could you have developed your skill in it?
Right.
This is the thing I don't like about the elemental stuff is that it's definitely useful, but it feels kind of nerfed a little bit early on compared to some of the other spell lists to me.
Okay.
Um,
Well, again, because keep in mind the system was built on graduating power levels. Um, Things are going to get stronger as you go along with these too.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I like that. I definitely like that. But I'm just saying, in comparison to some of the other lists that we've
Oh, I
talked
got
about,
you. Comparing this list to another list, it seems like these spells are weaker in
a little
relation.
nerfed.
Well,
I understand it though. I mean,
yeah.
I get there why they would do that.
Mhm.
Um,
Although that wall of fire, that
yeah,
that's something.
it definitely would hold. Uh,
Hold a
like,
door, hold a hallway. Yeah.
yeah. So call flame as wall of fire, except it creates a cube of flame, 10 by 10 by 10. It does an acritical fireball. A fireball is shot from the palm of the caster. It explodes to affect a 10-foot radius area, which is pretty small area of effect. The results are determined on the fireball table. So there's less concern here than there are in some older vintage this era game systems of the fireball expanding into a massive area and messing everyone up.
Right.
Um,
Because it starts out as a little ball as opposed to, but you look a little later on, you've got spells that increase.
So it looks like we've got. It says I'm seeing 3 watching. I'm not seeing any comments though. So if you got
Well, yeah,
comments out there and want to chit chat with us, let us know.
absolutely. Well, we may have some people just dropping in to
Circle
give us
of
some eyes too. Yeah.
Yeah, firebolt, call flame, waiting flame, firestorm. As call flame accepts small balls of flame rain down in a 10-foot cube, causing a B critical. Metal fires is the 15th level spell. So these cut off here. So the rest of these spell lists descriptions must be okay. Fire law. Here's the later ones. Triad of flame is the 16th level spell. As triad of water on water lists except fireballs are shot. Okay, so why is it saying as water list when water list is the last spell list in the list of these kinds of spell lists? You would think you would think this list would be the one that other lists said as that. So once again, early editing weirdness. 50th level spells, Fire Mastery. Caster can use any one lower level spell on this list each round. So you don't even have to. You cast that spell, and if it goes off, you're just. I'm trying to think through this here though. So you can use it. That would tell me that um, you may have to use the PowerPoints, but you don't actually have to cast the spell. The spell, it just happens. I can't think of what other way that would work. Caster can use any one lower level spell on this list each round. Any thoughts on that?
Hmm. I don't know. I'd have to read through each one of those spells or read through that wording again. It drilled down on it a little better and try and puzzle it out. It's been a while since I've run them, so
I think that's another example of things that while they're measured and organized very well in one aspect, the actual you get into the language of the spell, and that's where it sort of opens up different possibilities and interpretations.
sure.
Um, so that's and basically every spell list for magicians is going to be a variant on the same thing: a fire law, ice law, earth law, light law, wind law, water law, damaging and create your destroying or you're creating energy of various forms. All these other lists are essentially going to be the same kind of stuff. Personally,
Mhm.
for me, I find these kinds of lists, even though they're cool to have, and I always like having a magician in the group so we can get these awesome crits. Were you able to find a crit?
I have been looking on, I've been trying every which way but loose to Google critical hits.
Well, you
And
know what I can
doesn't
do?
matter what I key in, everything always seems to come up the um, arms law crits or the arms law fumbles. I mean the heat critical chart, bang, and for some reason or other, it still keeps popping up, slashing critical damage, and it's whatever. This
Well, let me.
Google isn't always the greatest way of searching. I
Yeah,
think because it's the critical, it just runs automatically to those.
let me see where my critical effect. Okay, so I have since I've got the book here that we scanned from. I can open up like so. Let's look up just firebolt crits here, or the fire crit tables.
Fire crits, yeah,
Critical
that would
effects
be
for spells heat.
heat.
So and we don't have an image for this, but in Rollmaster, when you take a critical
Mm-hmm.
from like a directed spell, like a heat spell, you roll an unmodified percentage roll, 1 to 100, and then you also have intensities, A, B, C, D, and E, with A being the weakest and E being the most serious crit. Just for and 66 on these types of lists is always a like not necessarily worse, but like some kind of weird. Typically, it is actually worse for the whoever gets hit with it, but just
Right.
something interesting about the crit. So let's read the 66 here real quick. You want to do that?
Sure.
All right. So an A crit, uh, blast. So this is you would apply the damage from the spell, which might do like 10 to 15. You know, you hit him if you hit him, and unlike other older systems, you have targeted spell skill. So you shoot this at somebody, you still have to hit them with your offensive spell bonus to hit them, and you might miss. So there's no guarantee you hit anything with these spells. But if assuming
No,
you hit,
no.
you do 10 to 15 points of damage. You have an A crit. Blast causes foe to drop whatever he was holding. +9 hits. Foe is stunned and unable to parry for 2 rounds. Um, Foe fights at -15% chest burns. So that is a lot of extra stuff. It really is descriptive about how you are really messing up the target with these kinds of spells. That's 66. That's an A. An E is head strike. If foe has a helm, he is knocked out and takes +5 hits per round. Oh, per what round though? That's interesting. So head strike. If foe has helm, he is knocked out and takes +5 hits per round. If not, foe is killed instantly and his head is fully vaporized. Fine aim. So I would
If I
take that.
recall, some of these had durations to them as well.
This one doesn't have duration. It just says
Well,
per
that's per
round.
round. Your spell may have had a duration to
Right.
it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not very likely with a heat spell. I mean, maybe it might, but so
Mm.
yeah, you could apply it that way. You could say, if that was a firebolt, it's 1 round. If it's a wall of fire that lasts for 10 rounds, it's 10 rounds. Um, so and then we've got one. If you'd rolled 100s on those, 100A is blast to foes arms. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Blast a foe's head, +15 hits. If foe has helm, he is knocked out and takes 7 hits per round. If not, for wait a minute. If not, for is in a coma for 1 month and works 50% and loses 50% charisma. So you're a burn victim after getting 100 on an A crit, essentially. And
Sure.
the E crits, as always, brevity is the soul of wit. All that remains of foe are charred bits of teeth and bone. Add 20% to your next roll. So that's a little descriptive flavor for Rollmaster crits. But as I started to say before, I honestly find these to be the least interesting spells in essence to me. I don't know why. I mean, I get it. It's damage, it's cool visuals and all that. But they're just not as interesting to me as other spells.
Well, you mentioned that earlier when you said you like to play utility wizards.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So those are base lists. Now, below that, we've got. Oh, I got to change sheets here. Let me change it up. So
Ooh, let's see. Here we go.
yeah. So These
Sounds
are
like
illusion.
Rolemaster is more complicated than D&D. How does the gameplay flow? A good answer to that question is just like anything. If you're brand new at it, it's going to take you a little bit of time to go through it. Um, Once you got used to how Rolemaster system worked, it was easy to flow through stuff. A lot of it just kind of felt natural and moved one thing to the next. Flipping to different charts and stuff took a little bit at a time, and that's one of the advantages actually with things like electronic tabletop role playing. Roll 20, for example. You could all that stuff is automated for you, so speeds things up considerably. You're not having to flip through tables. But yeah, again, once you've played it 3 or 4 times, your fingers kind of automatically know which pages to open up, and it goes fairly quickly. Um,
Honestly, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Complicated? I don't know if it is complicated, but not difficult complicated. There's a difference there. There's more to it, but it's not necessarily difficult. And
Um,
I've had Rollmaster games flow easy because one crit kind of solves most of the rest of the fight. And you're not spending 20 minutes because you're done in the first two.
I would say, yeah, I would kind of say that I honestly think that Rolemaster is less complicated than first edition D&D, and here's why. Because D&D has a certain, like, first edition D&D, for example, like Delver's Dungeon is a channel that we both play Tuesday nights on his first edition D&D game. And if you're not subscribed, I suspect you are. I can't imagine anyone else being here if they weren't subscribed to his channel. But if you're not, Delver's Dungeon is a great channel.
Yeah.
We play in his game, and the cool thing about first edition D&D is there it just has this feel to it and this flowery language to it that really enhances, in my opinion, helps the role play and the imagination. However, I would say I think it's actually more complicated than Rolemaster. Rolemaster is um y- okay, you have a lot of charts, that's fine, but you it's less difficult, in my opinion, to go find the crit chart or the two hit chart you're looking for than it is to track down the one-off information about how a spell works in the Dungeon Master's Guide. That's way more esoteric and difficult to deal with than finding the correct weapon chart, in my opinion. Um,
In Rollmaster, things are kind of laid out for you.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the combat, I think the combat, you know, if you play it for a while, you get good at it. You can go just as fast with Rollmaster combat as you can with anything else. Although I will say, the thing that can slow Rollmaster combat down is things like stunned effects and things like that. Whereas in first edition D&D, you don't. I mean, being
No.
stunned
Yeah.
does exist, but it's a rare one-off thing that really isn't something that happens all the time in combat. But stunning happens all the time in Rollmaster. And it
Well,
Go ahead.
stunning can shorten the combat in Rollmaster.
Well, it can, and yes, it can, but it can also extend it, because if you have a large scale fight going on and there's people getting stunned and recovering from being stunned, and people, a lot of times,
Mhm.
just because you get someone stunned doesn't mean you have the opportunity necessarily finish them right there. Sometimes you have to go, well, okay, they're stunned, so they're out of the fight now, and I got to turn my attention on this opponent, because I can't. They're going to destroy me if I turn my back on him to finish this guy off or something. Um,
Complicated isn't necessarily the right word. They've added a layer of detail that adds stuff to it. So it's not really complex if we want to look at it that way. Yeah.
yeah, and post down here if anybody wants to, like, we plan on doing some mock combats and stuff in the future with Rollmaster. So if you have any
Oh, yeah.
scenarios you want to see, let us know.
And we're going over bits and pieces of it first before we sit down. That way, viewers can kind of understand what we're doing when we sit down and run through a scenario.
Yeah. So, illusionist base spell list, illusion mastery, mind sense molding, guises, sound molding, light molding, feel, taste, smell. These are
Mhm.
all. I mean, I think most of this is self-explanatory. It's illusions based on the same 51 to 50 level spell list type of thing, and they are, it's an illusionist. You can change yourself, you can change others, you can, produce sound. You can produce some light. You do get, like, for example, light molding does give you a shock bolt spell on it. So even though you're an illusionist, you do have a few attack spells you can get.
Hmm. Well, everybody needs some form of offensive power.
Especially in Rolemaster, everybody needs that. I
Yeah,
wasn't going to go into too much detail into the illusionist
sure.
stuff. We're kind of running long. Um,
Well, that's what happens with us on
yes.
this sometimes. Yeah, we get rambling off on things because we like it, and somebody's we need a
What's
viewer here or there to pull us back into what we're supposed to be
yeah.
doing.
Let me move to the next slide. The next slide is alchemist-based lists. These are a little more interesting to me than the illusionist stuff. You've got enchanting ways, essence embedding, mentalism, channeling embedding, organic skills, liquid gas skills, and inorganic skills. So research, medium intelligence as empathy, except medium intelligence can be enchanted. So you can make an intelligent item even with these spell lists. An essence embedding and mentalism/channeling embedding allows you to embed essence, mentalism, or channeling spells into an object or a ring or something. Organic skills, rune paper, allows the caster to make a sheet of paper that will hold one first level spell. You can create liquid gas skills. Minor poison allows the caster to safely handle, prepare, and process minor poisons. There's a ton of utility here, but it
Yep.
is not a great class for player characters for the most part.
No, and since D&D was already mentioned, we'll throw this out there again. D&D does have rules on creating items, but I mean, it's just to even start doing that, you have a minimum 7th level. With Rolemaster, you can start doing these things at 1st level.
You can,
You can
yeah,
start enchanting items and making scrolls and potions and stuff at 1st level instead of having to wait to a higher level to be able to get that sort of stuff done, which is
you always want to have an NPC alchemist in your Rolemaster campaigns,
yes,
in my
yes.
opinion.
Somebody
Now,
on retainer back in town, right?
a more interesting set of spell lists, I think, are going to be the monk-based spell lists and the evil magician-based spell list. One thing to mention here: there are no alignments in Rollmaster,
No,
so evil, like what one GM considers evil, might be a completely different way. You could have a standard definition of evil, Murad, that fantasy, basic fantasy understanding of, or you could say, well, since there's no alignments, it's my call as the GM what makes up evil, because there are going to be evil characters casting, um, evil magician spell lists, and to evil to them, in my mind, could be handled as what is a diametrically opposed someone with a diametrically opposed philosophy or spell to what I have. Not they could be good, but your spells that deal with evil would work on them because they're not necessarily evil. They're just diametrically opposed to your philosophy.
well, the other thing is too, you got evil magician base spell list, right? Well, setting somebody on fire could be considered a bad act if you want to look at it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah. It's what it's. This is one area where you kind of need to be a.
I think you just force come up. Here's your classical definition of this is what's considered evil and stuff in the books and stuff like this. So this is what we're going to go with. A clearly defined. The gray areas make this kind of stuff really rough in role playing games for sure, and it's a challenge for the game master to come up with stuff that doesn't have a defined set of rules as to what is evil. It not that it can't be done. It just takes a little bit of work on the game master's part to
Well, I
lay
can do
that
it because
out so
I'm
that
also
everybody
a game master.
understands what he means. Yeah.
And you could too. You would have no problem doing that.
I would have no problem.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. No. But the monk-based spell list, and monks and rollmaster are, they are the essence and arms um, character class. So
Right.
basically, they're a hybrid class. They do arms, which is melee fighting and weapon fighting, and essence spell casting. So they're not a pure spellcaster or a
Well,
pure
and
essence
looking at that
spellcaster
monk
even.
spell list makes me think of all those old dubbed kung fu movies where the
Yep.
guy jumps and flies all the way across the battlefield, right?
Absolutely. I mean, these guys clearly were influenced by that kind of stuff with these spell lists.
Yeah.
Leaping, landing, traction, edge running. Caster can run on even, narrow, at least 2 foot wide surfaces if he were on normal ground. So run on narrow, even. So to me, that tells me you could run along the side of a building with that thing, right?
A
Caster can,
beam or something like that, or
yeah,
on a parapet or something, and not, yeah, exactly,
yeah.
yeah,
Leaping 3,
easily.
yeah,
Where the spell will handle all that kind of stuff for you, whereas you would, for a regular character, you'd be forcing balance rolls and stuff like this to get him across. Yeah.
yeah. Great leap. As leaping one, except limit is 10 feet per level laterally and 5 feet per level vertically. Cornering. What's the fifth hit? Monk's Bridge. Caster can cast any one lower level. That's a lot of these. Run true. Caster can use, okay, ceiling running, as ceiling walking, except caster can run. So that's nice as a monk. Evasions, speed one, swing three, flip one, haste one,
Hmm.
speed two, three. Um, moving fast in combat, acting more than your opponent. Body reins, balance. Add 50 to any dice rolls for one slow maneuver. Contractions allows the caster to slightly alter his muscles, limbs, and trunk, facilitating escaping from bonds in small places. Okay, that's cool. I'd forgotten about that one.
Mm.
That's got strength and unpained body shifting. Let's see, 50 as above, and so there's unpain is the fourth level spell. Caster is able to sustain an additional 25% of his total concussion hits before passing out. Hits are taken and remain when the spell lapses. So you're playing with fire a little bit with that spell. Self-keeping. Upon receiving a death blow, the caster goes into a state of suspended animation until he is cured or his brain is destroyed.
Mm.
Um, yeah, Monk's Sense, Sly Ears, Night Vision, Side Vision, Scent, Water Vision, Fog Vision. Touch. Caster gains extreme tactile sensitivity, plus 25 to locks, traps, and secret doors. Um,
Good enhancing spells, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Body Renewal. Flow Stoppage reduces the hits per round by one as long as the caster concentrates or is immobile. And that's a big thing in Rolemaster. Like, you'll get crits, mostly from weapons, where it'll say,
Hmm.
you are bleeding at 3 hit points per round. And unless you get first aid or a spell stopping it, it's just going to keep going.
Keep going, right? Yep. They cover a little bit more detail in this game other than just hit points. Yeah.
um, so that's body renewals. And then
Yeah.
evil magician spell lists.
Well, some
Uh,
of these absolutely make sense as to why they're on the evil list. Agony, come
I
on.
mean, I guess, but
Yeah.
I think this may be an area where you and I differ in that if you're throwing a fireball, what's really the difference? Like, I guess the main difference you could say is anything that prolongs the suffering of a target, I could see making an argument for being evil. But at its core, you're killing a person, right? So what's the difference between fireball and any of this stuff other than what I just said?
Right. Well, I think agony is like, I don't think it kills anybody.
Let's see.
We could read it, but
Wait, this is
level 9 physical erosion spell. Yeah.
oh, okay. Agony. As pain. Okay, well, where's pain? Let me look up
Pain is
pain.
first level. Yeah.
Yeah. Target feels pain, and he takes 20% of his remaining hits. Agony. And so agony is as pain, except target takes 60% of his remaining hits. Um, Trait erosion. As trait erosion 1. Where's trait erosion here? Trait erosion 1. As impair. Okay, impair 1. 1 month per pipe. Okay, so 1 month per 5% failure on your resistance roll. That's how long it wants. So goes the duration. So
Mhm.
if you cast it, you could easily have be on the target could be under the effect of the spell for months. Target has one of his physical characteristics temporarily lowered 5 in a 1 to 100 system, 1 in a 3 to 18 system. If a system of temporary permanent characteristic is used, the temporary characteristic static is lowered. Physical characteristics include strength, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's interesting. So, yeah, I mean, um, matter disruption, dark contacts. Like, to me, dark summons and dark contacts are the ones that you could actually sort of make an argument for being evil. But,
Well, because it's in the word.
yeah. um,
Yeah.
Force analysis, lesser demonic contact, force information. I mean, like you're essentially this is contact other plane in the Mold Bay box set essentially.
Mhm.
Control demon, dark summons control demons, lesser demonic gate, demon mastery as control demon. Okay, so you know have you increasingly more powerful versions of spells that allow you to control stuff. And then lastly, darkness. You've got night vision, dark vision,
Mhm.
shadow forms. Caster can create either the visual illusion of shadow figures or real shadows, as many as the caster's level. Utter dark creates a 20-foot radius of darkness. No non-magic light can exist, and magic light must make a resistance roll. So, I mean, okay, is darkness evil? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of those things that are in there are maybe in and of themselves aren't really all that bad. Darkness, right? Night vision, you know.
yeah, I mean, they're very cool. I mean, I would definitely get
Yeah.
some of these. But once again, this is an area where Rolemaster is a little more difficult than other systems to figure out what is good and evil. I mean, you can have your core
Mhm.
own personal beliefs as a human being, and that can be different from how you handle it in a game. Um, Lastly, we've got the sorcerer based spell. A sorcerer is a very um, they're all about destroying anything, mines, physical things, everything.
Right. That's the concept that they have
Um,
for sorcerers, right?
Soul
I love
destruction.
some of these things.
Yeah,
Some of these are good gas destruction, like
I mean, I could,
oh,
that'd be hard. That's probably not one of the more commonly picked ones. Solid
really?
destruction, fluid destruction, mind destruction, and flesh destruction. Now, flesh destruction to me, that like I get why it's a sorcery because it fits the concept of destruction of material, but that's more evil than anything on the evil magician spell list. Let's take a look at mind destruction and flesh destruction. Let's look at those two. Minor
Sure.
disorient. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, let's look at them definitely.
Minor pain. This is mind destruction. Target takes 25% of his remaining cushion hits. These hits are healed when the duration is up. Okay, that's just hits. Um, let me
Yeah, but it's like the other dark spell list pain, you know.
Right, but at 8th level, target forgets a period of 1 minute per level of his past as desired by the caster. So let's imagine someone met the love of their life, and some evil caster removed the memory of that person if they just met them from their mind. That's some evil shit right there. That's way more evil than
Well,
anything.
I don't know. It
Um,
could be your boy looking out for you.
I mean, it could be. let's Since this list is mind destruction, let's operate on an assumption that we're talking about evil intent.
Right.
uh,
Right.
um, um,
Yeah, not your wingman protecting you.
Unminding. Target's mind is completely blank for the duration. He cannot perceive events, time, or activity. He is stunned 1 round after his mind comes back. Mass confusion. Mind break. Let me go look at the super high level spells on this spell list. Okay, so this can also. I just realized we've got. I didn't go all the way to the 50th level spells because they're in a They're these lists are shortened and they're in the appendum on the back. Um, I forgot the sorcerer soul destruction list can do absolution, which we covered under channeling, which is essentially destroying or removing a target's soul from its body.
Right.
Um, but
Well, I
mind
mean,
destruction. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
you could argue that these things are evil in nature for sure.
Yeah, you definitely could. Looks like so we got somebody else sneaking in. We got 3 people watching. All
Ooh,
right.
yes.
Um,
We
if you got
tripled our count from when we started. Awesome.
Yeah, if you have questions out there and you're watching, don't be afraid to post them in the chat, and we'll definitely respond to them.
Sure.
Mind destruct. But I was talking about mind destruction. Mass unminding, the 50th level spell, as unminding, except as many targets as the caster's level can be affected.
Ooh,
So unminding was target's mind is completely blank for the duration. He cannot perceive time, events, or activity. He is stunned 1 round until his mind comes back. So that's what you could do to. Let's see. Is it targets or levels? Mind destruction as unminding, except as many targets as the
target.
caster's level can be. So 50, just 50 targets. Any of them that don't resist, they're just out. They're not even dead. They're just they're just you know
Yeah, let's go back
useless.
into sorcerer taking on an army discussion like we had a few minutes ago. Yeah,
Yeah, this is so now this
yeah,
is where we really get into the most evil. Like if you're going to apply the word evil to spell list, I would say flesh destruction
sure.
is conceptually the most evil spell list. Um, we've got okay, sprain limb. That's limb pain. Random limb is intense pain. For a leg, the target cannot walk. For an arm, the arm cannot be used. Touch of disruption. The bones and tissues of the target's body are disrupted, as if the target fails his resistance roll by 1 to 10. He takes an A impact critical, up to an E critical, depending on how badly you fail. Lock joint. One of the target's joints locks. Effect is in limb pain. Exceptions: if a target with a leg lock is moving, he falls. There's break limb, disruption, skin death. Target's skin will flake and peel all over his body. If there is no tactical penalty, but it lowers the appearance of the individual by 50%. Lasts until dispelled and 1 month passes. Disruption, ear disruption, limb of death. One of target's limbs will wither and die.
Right.
I mean, eye
Oh,
disruption.
those sound like good spells. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're good spells, but to me, this stuff more suitably matches the concept of evil than the evil
Yes,
magician spell list.
absolutely does. But then again, right? Like we mentioned back when these spell lists were made,
Right.
sorcerers weren't. You know, when you're doing away with alignment and stuff like this, they didn't incorporate it in the game. But they were a sorcerer was not a good guy.
Yeah, no, I get you. Flesh
Yeah.
destruction. So there's petrification. These are the high level spells. Petrification. The target's bones will gradually petrify. A loss of activity as limb death occurs due to the loss of blood circulation. Black channels. Disruption. Disruption 2. As touch of disruption except range is 300 feet and delivers an E impact critical if the target fails. So that's
Ooh,
yeah. They didn't decide. They decided not to go area effect with the highest level spell on this list.
no.
So and those are
Ooh, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
I mean that's essentially Essence has got a lot of cool stuff.
And these
Greeting.
are the closed lists too. You got to be specifically a sorcerer to get this kind of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ptolemachus, he's been here before, hasn't he? He's been here a couple times, I want to say.
He's also one of the Delvers
Oh,
um,
okay. Cool.
subscribers and stuff too. So yeah,
Glad a couple people from Delver's Dungeon have, are kind of interested in learning a little bit Rolemaster. If you've got questions, we're coming up on towards the end of the stream here. We got one more slide. And this is the essentially the flavor slide. Welcome to Flavor Country.
yeah, we did this for channeling. We're going to do this again for mentalisms when we get there too. Yeah.
These are essentially magic items that are in the Essence book, and the way they do it in Rolemaster is they pepper the whatever realm it is. They pepper magic items through the book that are of the realm of magic that they're putting the items in.
Mm-hmm. And there's
So
definitely comes cool stuff in here. Yeah.
bracelet of Talirian acts as a spell shield true at will. So so let's spell shield. What let me find that. Let's see. Spell shield. Open lists. I wonder if that's
That was
spell
your
wall.
shielding. Yeah.
Yeah, so spell walls. So this operates as spell shield true, which is an 18th level spell, concentration spell. Spell shield true as essence shield. Okay, so except that it's effective against all three realms. So this will affect mentalism and channeling as well as essence.
Mm-hmm.
And essence shield is creates a shimmering shield in front of the caster. It subtracts 10 from all frontal essence attack rolls on the caster, base and elemental. So whether it's a attack spell like fire or stuff like that, or it's just a spirit mastery, someone trying
Mm-hmm.
to take control of you, you get 10. It subtracts 10 from all the basic attack rolls. If the caster performs no other actions during a round, he can parry one spell attack. Parry consists of subtracting all adds that a caster would normally have for his base attack roll from the attack roll. So you can either just let it have its general effect, or you can literally sort of kind of parry a spell.
Not a trinket.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you can do so acts as a spell shield true at will. Like no PowerPoints, nothing, just any 24 hours a day,
Yep.
7 days a week. That is powerful.
Well, the at will part kind of leaves a little bit in there for interpretation too. Can you use it when does it pop onto you if you were unconscious or unable to activate it, kind of thing? But other than that, yeah,
I would say using the word will means you have to
means
have conscious will.
right. You got to be able to consciously focus on activating the device, right, at any time.
Right. Gorlar's pendant, +3 PowerPoint adder to Essence. So, an a +3 PowerPoint adder. So it's not a multiplier; it's a +3 PowerPoint adder. I'm trying to remember how, because I thought it's this is confusing to me because the concept of adders, as I recall it existing in first edition, is that you have a. I guess this doesn't really take away from that. Just the plus, um, or it's not the plus. It's the PowerPoint adder. It should just be an adder. What an adder does is a three adder allows you to cast any three spells you know for without using PowerPoint. So this description is a little weird here. They shouldn't be referencing PowerPoints in this description. Adds 15% to all resistance rolls versus essence attack. That is huge. Allows the use of Windlaw spells as if 10 levels above one's own. Must possess the list first. A huge sapphire with a chain of very strong but crudely forged iron links.
Yep. Nice.
Staff of Aganar, ×3 PowerPoint multiplier. So what that does is, if you have 50 PowerPoints, this thing gives you 150 PowerPoints as long as you're using it. Will burst into flame upon command, harmless to the wielder. Illuminating a 10-foot radius, provides immunity to heat and cold while ablaze. Fires up to 3 firebolt a day at 3 times damage. Fashion of a gnarled black wand with fashion of gnarled black wood with a red crystalline orb set in the top.
Nice weapon.
So, I mean,
yeah.
And there's more here. I'm kind of running out of steam on my voice. My allergies are starting to bug me here.
No, good stuff. I like the. Monks has always been one of my favorite classes. We got items on here related to monks too.
Ptolemychus is saying something here.
The bracers. What do we got here? Our group. Let's pop this up there real quick. There played second edition Rolemaster Middle Earth up until October last year. Wow, second edition, sure. People can no longer make the meats. We are currently playing Cyberpunk Red. We have a few first edition books. Yeah. Well, when Rolemaster first came out, when they boxed all this stuff together, the individual pieces in a Rolemaster first edition, it wasn't that long after that they reorganized it, did some edits and stuff, and then released it as second edition.
What is Cyberpunk Red? I've never heard of that.
It's another one of those Cyberpunk Shadowrun type games.
What's the system like? Is Ptolemychus?
I've never played Cyberpunk Red. I was one of the first tools that I learned to use to make rule sets for Fantasy Grounds, the rule set wizard. The first tutorial in there was making Cyberpunk Red character sheets.
According to,
so I was playing around with that, but I haven't,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What you got?
I couldn't remember if I didn't want to go on. Let's see. Cyberpunk 2020, but set in 2045. The combat and net running was made easier, less cumbersome. Yeah, so that's what I saw when I looked it up on the internet. It uses the interlock system, requiring 10-sided and 6-sided dice for skill-based gameplay. So it sounds fairly similar to Rolemaster to me on the surface.
Maybe they use the concept of the mechanics, maybe to a certain degree, as part of it. Cyberpunk 2020, well, that's old now. Like 2045 is actually.
The tabletop role-playing game bridging the narrative gap between Cyberpunk 2020 and Cyberpunk 2077. So I'm assuming, is that the game? Oh, yeah, that's the video game. Which I just recently started playing that video game. I like some of the Daft Punky style music in it. There's one particular song in it that has it's got like a digitized ministry sound, but it has a woman in the background saying, "How may I help you?" And she keeps saying, "How may I help you?" in the background. It's pretty funny. But as a game, I don't really like that video game. I mean, it's okay, but it's too. I prefer stuff like Skyrim that's completely open world. You can go. You're not like railroaded into long conversations with stuff. You just do stuff that's long enough to get to know what is going on, but you can just kind of go and do whatever you want. Cyberpunk 2077 is kind of way too railroady for me. Like you're forced into very specific things, and the cities are massive, but they're not very open world.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think Ptolemychus agrees with me there. Well, that's cool. Well, I'm glad we're getting some people to show up and talk about
And
stuff.
yeah,
Ptolemychus.
generating some interested in people wanting to check out a little bit of the Rolemaster stuff. He said he had some first edition books. I wonder if it's first edition Cyberpunk Red books or was that first edition Rolemaster books. Again, there's not a lot of big differences between first edition and second edition Rolemaster, but we're talking about the first edition of the games we like to play that came out. That's pretty much we could be talking about Rolemaster, what standard or whatever it is now, which is the edits and stuff to make it a little
Oh, he
more
has first edition Rollmaster in Middle Earth.
Middle Earth.
That's what
Okay,
he's saying. And I have a ton of MERP stuff myself. I have like 40 or
love
50
Merp,
of those modules.
love
Um,
Merp. Yeah, it's excellent source books. We could do a stream just on the Middle Earth source books.
yeah, absolutely. Mark that down as another idea. We'll do that, and we'll have
Yeah.
Ptolemychus join and talk shit about Middle Earth. Hard to get without paying collector prices. Well,
Yeah.
with Ptolemychus, I earned software engineer salary, which thankfully includes money for both food and role playing games. So I'm no, I'm kidding. Of course, I've spent the '90s going around buying all the old first edition D&D stuff, all the first edition Rollmaster stuff,
Mhm.
all the MERP stuff. I have a lot of other stuff I never play, but I was just like, this stuff is going to become super expensive, and it's not right now. So I just spent money like crazy. It was a lot back then, but if I were to sell it all right now, I mean, potentially, depending on who I was selling to, I could make $10,000.
Sure. And well,
Um,
that's not the point of collecting, though. Is some of it is you collect because that's the things that you like.
oh
Whether or not they're valuable or not on the market
yes,
is another story.
nobody's getting their hands on any of that shit. I'm never selling it. I'm going to be buried with all of it. It's no
Oh,
one's
okay.
getting
Yeah.
it.
Does your girlfriend know this?
Yes, she's aware. She's quite aware. She is to put me on a Viking boat on the river with all my role playing stuff because she knows it's mine, and
Mhm.
launch a burning arrow into the boat as it sails down the Anduin.
Aha.
That's how I'm going out.
Gotcha.
Told Micah, tell other people, you see us, if you see a stream, tell people we love to talk to people. So, if you can
Yeah,
get other people to come, we'll
this
talk.
is one of our favorites from the 80s and early 90s. We definitely like talking about it. Yeah.
All right. I have to go now to
Yep.
watch a
I
college
think
basketball game.
I think we have reached the limit of what we were going to do today as far as talking about essence magic and stuff. I wish I could do this a little bit better on a more regular basis, but odd happenings here or there with work caused
It's
not
all
to be
good.
able to do this on a regular Saturday. But the next one we'll talk about, we'll definitely get back together and talk on um, mentalism
Mentalism.
is the next one
Yes.
that comes out. So we'll do that too for our next stream together on Rollmaster. And thanks again for joining me there, Gonzalo, and
No
helping me
problem.
talk more up on Rollmaster First Edition.
Thanks for having me. Take it easy, guys.
And thanks. Well, there we have it. A little bit more on Rollmaster First Edition, talking about Essence Magic this time. Again, the next time we get together, we'll talk about um, the Mentalism Magic. Have other stuff planned, but we'll see how it goes. The next time Gonzo and I will be talking about Rollmaster Mentalism. Thanks for joining me on this Saturday. I know you had other things that you could have been doing, but I appreciate your joining and following along the stream. If you're not already aware, please like and subscribe. There's a lot of stuff that I do. Check out some of my other stuff on there that I've already talked about if this kind of things enjoying you, if you're new to the channel. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Leave comments. Definitely. We like talking about this stuff. Have a good one, all.